Positioning your company to attract investors can feel overwhelming. But now that we've covered the 3 Ps, people, paper, and profits, you know exactly how to get started. Once you decide to raise money from outside investors, the next step is to prepare the term sheet, which outlines the basic terms and conditions for the investment. Term sheets can either be prepared by your company, in which case you definitely want to get your attorney involved in helping you structure it to include the terms you want and ensure they are attractive to your investors, or your lead investor will present you with the term sheet. If an investor presents you with a term sheet, do not sign it as is. Instead, please take it to your lawyer and make sure you fully understand all the terms, how the investment is structured, and whether or not it's market. Now let's be honest. You need to know that deal terms at a Series A level are pretty much always going to be less favorable to you, the entrepreneur, because you have less negotiating power at that point. But that doesn't mean you should simply sign on the dotted line with no negotiation or legal review. Attorneys with experience dealing in funding transactions will have reviewed hundreds, if not thousands, of these kinds of proposals in their careers. They will know the standard market terms for particular investments. They'll also know how common or uncommon it is for specific terms to be included, and they can raise a red flag if they see something risky or a term that's not usually seen in other investment packages out there. In the workbook for this Nano Learning series, I've included a link to a great website where you can find some good template deal documents. In the last 30 minutes, you learned what it takes to get the investor dollars you need for your company. In the next 30 days, you can begin taking the steps to get your company ready and laying the groundwork for a successful capital raise. When you finish your preparation process, you will have assessed your management team's readiness and put the appropriate incentive plans and protections into place. Pinpointed and addressed any soft spots in your company's legal and financial elements, and have a well-supported valuation backed by solid information. And put yourself in a position to demonstrate the type of profitability and market leadership that will make your company particularly attractive to potential investors and stand out from your competitors. You can then bring all of these pieces together and use them to build a compelling growth story, an investor pitch deck supported by strong data. At this point, you have 2 choices. You can be prepared and get the investment you need and want, plus happy investors who are ready to open their pocketbook up to you again in the future. Or you can possibly be stuck in a fire sale, trying to rally investment dollars in a hurry and at a less than optimal valuation because you haven't prepared. I hate to see any business in that situation. And I know that's not where you want to end up either. Remember the story I mentioned about the client who we had helped structure the company and prepare the documents for their Series A financing and equity incentives for their employees? Once we drafted the form documents, their in-house counsel took over and said she would finalize everything so as not to over-lawyer things. Recently, I got a call from them. Hey, how are you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. Sure enough, they're calling me because they're ready for a sale. They knew they needed a sophisticated M&A lawyer. The founder thought they were well organized. She thought they were well prepared. She thought they'd done everything right. But remember how they used their friend and co-founder to handle wrapping up the company's legal docs to save some money? Well, unfortunately, there were some very costly mistakes made, namely in how they finalized the legal docs and went about issuing stock to all their employees. Cleaning that up cost them about $50,000 on the back end versus what would have been a $5,000 investment on the front end. Fortunately, because we'd set up the company to take advantage of a little-known provision of the Internal Revenue Code, when we did close on the sale of their company, I was thrilled to inform them that the first $10 million they made would be tax-free. This is a prime example of why it's important to take your ownership structure into account and consult with an experienced securities attorney when raising capital. Like my client, you might think, I don't need to spend money on that right now. But there can be significant tax and financial ramifications later on if you don't do it right from the start. Instead, picture the day when you sign on the dotted line, knowing that you did everything you could to get the highest valuation possible from an investor who's as excited about your business as you are. Picture a day when you have the tools and people you need to build the business of your dreams. Picture a day when you ultimately sell your company for top dollar and you know that it's because of everything you did to set yourself and your team up for financial success. I know that day is coming soon for you, and now you have all the tools you need to make it a reality.